Everybody, Craig DeLuz here from Firearms Policy Coalition. I am here live at the 31st Annual Gun Rights Policy Conference. And with me, I have the founder of not just this event, but of the Second Amendment Foundation, one of the largest figures in the gun rights movement today, Mr. Alan Gottlieb. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, it's great to be with you in the Firearms Policy Coalition, and I appreciate everything you guys do.
Well, thank you. You know, what got you into the movement?
Freedom. I was in college and care a lot about individual rights and the Bill of Rights. And what's part of the Bill of Rights that's always under attack and always has been under attack?
Yeah.
It's the Second Amendment. So I generated and gravitated towards defending gun rights because that was the area of our civil rights that are really more under attack than anything else.
All right. So tell me, I mean, you guys have had a lot of great victories, and you fought a lot of really hard fights. Which among all of them stands out the most in your mind?
Well, I think it's going to be McDonald versus Chicago, our Supreme Court victory, and mainly because it isn't just about gun rights in this case. It's more than just even human rights. Mr. McDonald was just a great individual person living in the inner city of Chicago, in a minority community. He's African American himself, tried to make sure his block was safe, tried to keep the drug dealers off of his block. And as a result of the gangs and the drug people attacked him, attacked his house a number of times. He wanted a gun to protect himself and his family. The city of Chicago wouldn't let him have one. And it was just a great human interest story. This is a guy who, when he was younger, his mother put him on a bus from Mississippi to send him to Chicago and said, you know, here's a few bucks we have left in the family. Go to Chicago and make your mama proud. And he went to Chicago and had lived a great life, and and it was just a really good citizen, raised a good family, and then here's the guy the government doesn't let him have a gun to protect his family. Mm-hmm. And that victory, I guess when we came down the steps for the United States Supreme Court, mm-hmm. He stopped me and he goes, "Alan, I really have to thank you. Thanks to you, I made my mama proud." And it was like I was really teary-eyed, and it was like, it's about people.
Well, and that's the thing that a lot of people, those who don't support the Second Amendment don't want people to understand that this is about civil rights.
Yeah.
And Otis McDonald and the Second Amendment Foundation are icons in that civil rights fight that for many who've tried to hijack the term civil rights, they're not going to recognize. But I think those who really understand the Constitution, constitutional rights, and what civil rights are, will see that.
Yeah, and I think that's why that stands out so much as one of the big high points in what we've done. Not that some of the other victories we've had aren't just as monumental and just as important, but that one really touched my heart.
So now, what made you decide to come up with the Gun Rights Policy Conference?
It actually started going back 31 years ago, and at that point in time, none of the national gun rights groups would really work together. And so what happened was that the concept was to bring in the leaders of the national groups. So the conference was small, 30, 40 people, people that are really closely on boards of directors of the national groups, to get them to work with each other because they weren't even communicating. And we accomplished that goal. And then historically, the conference has served other purposes. Actually, with two other key events in time. One was you had a ballot measure in California that was going to ban handguns. A lot of grassroots groups sprung up. We won that battle, but then afterwards, those groups didn't know what to do. How do we stay around? How do we keep our people interested? How do we, continue to grow so we're here for the next battle? And then you had the Clinton assault weapon ban, and you had a group springing up all over the country on a grassroots level to fight that. And then it was like, well, okay, now that battle's over. What do we do now? And so the Gun Rights Policy Conference shifted from the national groups' attention to local groups to say, okay, now let's bring all the local groups and be the clearinghouse in place to share the ideas and experiences and the education and plot and plan for future years. And so then it took in all the local groups. Now it's got a lot more individual people as well. It's not just local groups and leaders, but just got grassroots activists from all over the country. And so that's sort of how we've progressed.
Well, it's kind of interesting that you say that, because we've run into people, a lot of the work we've been doing has been in California, but we've run into people that didn't know a whole lot about us in California. We ran into them here in Tampa, Florida.
Yeah.
I think one of the greatest things about this event isn't just the plethora of speakers and great minds that you have that are fighting the fight, both legislatively and in the courts, but also the connections that people are able to make, the side conversations. You know, I would recommend this as an event to anybody. If you really are interested in understanding the details of the fight, this is an event that you need to make sure that you show up to. So how do folks follow the Second Amendment Foundation, get a hold of you guys if they're interested in participating in any of your programs or coming to this event maybe next year?
Well, the way you out there can do this really is go to SAF.org, Second Amendment Foundation's website, or just put Second Amendment Foundation in your browser and we're going to pop up and track our activities and see our events, and you can register for most of our events online. And it's a great way to get involved. Like this conference, it's free. Every year this is free. You walk away with a couple $100 worth of free books for your Second Amendment library. I mean, it's a monumental thing, and once people come, they never want to miss another one.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Cannot overestimate the quality of the swag. For real. Anyway, this is Craig DeLuz with the Firearms Policy Coalition, coming at you live from the Gun Rights Policy Conference 2016. We'll see you again real soon.
If you like these updates, please share them with your friends and subscribe to our YouTube channel.